Hello, all of you. How are you doing today? Good morning, all of you. Now, I hope that you are very excited for today's session, and I am personally very excited. We are going through some very tough times, yeah? COVID, it has spread across the world and is killing a lot of people. But when I was a student doing my CA, and as you all know, that CA is the toughest course to do in the world, right? So when I was a student, going through those tough times, a lot of failures and all, as most of the CA students face in their life, there was one quote. I read that quote in one of the diaries. Somebody had gifted me a diary, and we didn't have internet at that time. This was in early 90s, 1991, long time back, yeah. So I was reading this quote, and I noted down that quote on a big paper, that is that century chart, and put it across my study table. And I used to see that daily. What was that quote? It said, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And believe me, that quote has changed my life. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And this is exactly that time that we are living, most difficult time of this century, right? And if you believe in this quote and if you believe in yourself, you can be tough. And even though the times are very tough, if you become tougher than that, you will get going. And that's what defines a leader, isn't it? Yes. So today we are going to discuss about the leadership skills. And we have got a very famous personality with us today. And I'll be introducing him in just a moment of time. But before we go there and we start with the session, let me introduce to you Taxology. Taxology is the new portal that we have built in the last year. During the COVID times, we were working on it for last 2 years. Me and my co-founder, Divya Verma, she's an amazing person, and we have been building this over 2 years now. But in the last, say, 8 to 9 months, we have given a trust and developed, and it has come out very beautifully. You can check out the site, taxology.com. It's a freelancing portal for all type of business services. And if you are into business or if you are into giving service, you can definitely be a part of it. Register online today and take the benefits. You can get worldwide clients. Apart from that, let's talk about this Taxology Talks. This is a unique thing that we have developed. Again, a brainchild of my co-founder Divya. And we have come up with these talks. So though the name is talks, we are not just going to talk, right? So simply talking is not enough unless it is followed by an action. So what we are trying to deliver is action-packed talks. So we'll be talking things, of course, but we'll be requiring you guys, the viewers out there, people who will take the benefits out of this Taxology Talks. We want you guys to take action, right? So these are going to be very action-packed, thrilling talks. We'll be inspiring you to do things, not just watch and not just hear, but do it. And when you do it, you will get the real benefits out of it, right? So these are Taxology Talks. Day before yesterday, we had an amazing conversation with Divya Vashish about how to use your LinkedIn and how to use storytelling to develop your LinkedIn profile and get the huge benefits in business. Today, we are going to talk on leadership skills with Mr. Viraj Kalra. And in time to come, we'll be having a lot of these sessions. So I want all of you guys who are listening us today to connect with us through our website, through our YouTube channel, which we are using right now, and you must be watching on our YouTube channel live. So you connect with us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Facebook page, Taxology Facebook page, as well as on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a beautiful platform that has gained a lot of advantage in the last 9 to 8 months. and that is because of the COVID times. The kind of exposure that people are getting on LinkedIn is huge. The type of networking which is going on is huge. And if you don't have a big network, of course, Viraj will be telling us about more about networking and the benefits of networking. But in the initial stage, I want to just stress a little bit on that you can send me a personal request, join me as a friend on LinkedIn, connect to me. And through my connections, you can connect with so many people out there. I've got a lot of CFOs, CXOs, CEOs out there who are connected with me. So you can also take the advantage of that. So send me an invite on LinkedIn, as well as we have got Taxology page on LinkedIn. So you can connect to that also, right? So a lot of benefits to be taken. These are action points. You must do them. The more you network, the more you connect, the more benefits you will reap in time to come. Okay. Now, without wasting time, let me introduce you Mr. Viraj Kalra. Now, what to say about Viraj? He's a young guy and a great personality. He's an executive coach, a trainer, a speaker, and culture strategist. And he has founded Open Brackets Learning. He calls it as open bracket because normally brackets means the closed one. But if you open up, then you actually open your mind. So an amazing name given by Viraj. Through this program, that is through his program on Open Brackets Learning, he aims to be an effective leader and influence people with his thoughts. He will be helping you gain much needed skills like personal effectiveness, executive presence. He'll be talking about this in a few moments from now. Executive presence, what do you mean by that? Video presence. Today, every one of us is using video, like you are watching this webinar on video. So video presence is another very important topic. He'll be dealing with that also today. 2020 skills, leadership skills, innovation, agility, public speaking, storytelling, resilience, emotional intelligence. Another point he'll be touching today, intuitiveness, how to be in touch with intuition, influence and culture. So he teaches all these things in his programs. He is recognized as one of the top soft and behavioral skills trainer, speaker and leadership coach from India. He is very popular. And he has got a lot of skills like storytelling, interactive, experiential, passionately delivered sessions. He has 20 years of experience in leadership roles in industries like consulting, education, media, PR, retail. And he has coached lots of brands like Sumitomo, Perfect Relations, Lacoste, and Planman Group. Also, he engages on development initiatives with faculty, management, and students of prominent universities and institutions like IIM, MIT University, Manav Rachna University, Jamia Hamdard University, Kirori Mal College, Delhi, and Institute of Management and Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. So with a great round of applause, I welcome Viraj. Hi, Viraj. How are you doing?
Hi, Farooq. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for having me over. Thank you so much for that lustrous introduction and context setting.
Yeah. So we welcome you on board today. And a lot of people are watching this live today. And most of them will watch later on also, being a Saturday morning. Some guys are in office right now. So we receive a lot of messages. Can we get the recorded video? So I said, yes, it will be available on YouTube and all our channels. So they will also benefit a lot out of it. So as we see that whenever the times are tough, the tough gets going.
Right.
And if we go down the history lane, we have got a lot of illustrations and examples we can take. But in short, I want to just name a few. Like in 1975 in US, when there was a downturn and a great recession, companies like Microsoft, Apple, they came up.
Right.
In 2008-9, again, there was a recession, and we saw a lot of companies like Uber and Amazon and all, they came up.
Absolutely.
They became billionaires. And right now, during the COVID times also, we are seeing a lot of companies coming up like Unacademy, Nika, Razorpay. A lot of
Right.
them have become unicorns.
Very true.
So it's all true that when the tough gets going, the when the going gets tough, sorry, the
Yes.
tough gets going. So
Sure.
what do you say about that?
No, it's absolutely true. And Farooq, in fact, what I do for a profession, the reason I do it is exactly that.
Yeah,
Um, moments before we started this session, if you remember, we were talking about how Nagpur is very dear to my heart, and I've spent some time there as well.
yeah,
So if you were to ask my friends in Nagpur who went to school with me or who went to college with me, chances are that they would tell you that Viraj, as a coach and a trainer, working with some of the biggest leaders across the corporate world, impossible. You must be talking about some other Viraj, because
yeah,
because I was this below average, not even average, but below average, mediocre student who academically did not score very well in anything. I just about barely passed every class. So I would look at my mark sheet and I will straight away start looking from 40% onwards and hoping that I have crossed that 40% bracket, right? And even in sports, not much to write home about, not doing too much of extra co-curricular. So, like I said, I was just about passing by. And then, sometime during my MBA, is when all of it changed. And I think why it changed is because I finally found what I was truly passionate about. I really like the world of branding, communication, public relations. And the moment I found that, everything else fell into place. Academic scores, extra co curricular, debating, all of that fell into place. And I think that one night before a big debating competition, where I knew that unless I crack this debate, I'll not be able to go to the next round. I decided that in my mind that, come what may, I'm going to stand up in front of these 500 people tomorrow and talk, you know. So I truly believe that it's always in the mind, that tough gets going part. There's nobody stopping you. There's nobody restricting you. There is nothing which is binding you, right? It's just in your mind that you think that you'll not be able to overcome that barrier. But the moment you do, then the world is your oyster. Then nothing can stop you. Then you're unstoppable. And you're so right that often a time, majority of us realize that we have that toughness inbuilt into us in the most adverse situations, right?
exactly, exactly.
So, so I like the fact that you started session, with saying that you had this poster which had this quote on it about the tough gets going. And I'm glad that you brought that up in our conversation as well. That yes, I truly believe that that's how it is. And that's why I keep saying also my added quote, Farooq, to that tough gets going quote is that if I can do it, anybody can. As a coach and a trainer, the reason I do what I do is because I believe that given my background and given the fact that I wasn't doing very much till even my early 20s, and now if I'm counted amongst the top 20 soft skills trainers, behavioral skills trainers in the country, it only goes to show that, it's all in the mind. If I can do it, anyone can.
You are so true there, Viraj, because if I can totally relate to your story. I myself was also a mediocre student throughout my schooling life. Nobody knew me. I was a backbencher, very
Right.
shy person. And even while doing CA, I failed 5 to 6 times. So it was very tough going there. And again, once I also found the passion, that's a very crucial point. And all of the listeners today, they should know this point, as Viraj was talking about. It's about passion. It's about that thing that builds that passion in you, because unless you get there, you will never be able to realize your true potential.
Right.
So passion is very important in life.
Right.
One of the greatest skills of a leader, of course, because he's able to think beyond, he's able to see beyond, he's able to see the silver lining when everyone
Right.
is seeing the dark clouds.
Yeah.
So that hope, that silver lining is so important for us.
Right.
And right now we are going through these tough times.
Right.
So, what do you have to say to people, the listeners out there? What is that silver lining you want to give? That what is the new normal which is going to come out of this, and
Right.
how they can take the benefits?
Sure. Farooq, so before we look at, you know, maybe a framework, let's say, on what the new variety of skills that will become the silver lining for this new normal that is shaping up around us is concerned, even before we go there, I want to just stay a little bit longer on this passion point that you were talking about. So I believe that passion is what makes you center, focus, and get going towards where you want to go relentlessly, right? But I actually, in recent years, if let's say my first 10 years of my career out of the 20 odd years was fueled by passion, it's these 10 years that I'm living through right now that has been fueled by a skill and a trait which I always thought was important, but not the most important. I always thought passion was more important, but in recent years, I've realized that this trait is even more important. And I think that's something which young professionals, aspiring, services sector people, young entrepreneurs, even freelancers should be very aware of. Because people who work in small teams or often work as individuals, this one trait can make the big difference between where you are and where you want to go. So what is this? So I keep saying that, we got a lot of opportunity to work with the Indian cricket team a few years ago, uh, quite a few years ago. And BCCI said that, we want you to come in and observe and do some team building exercises for us, since I do behavioral skills training. So we got the opportunity to watch the Indian cricket team very closely. At that point in time, Dhoni was the captain. And often post-match analysis would mean that everybody will get together in Dhoni's room, and they would do a quick post-match analysis between the playing 11, and then the rest of the team was allowed inside. Now, more often than otherwise, after that quick post-match analysis, if India has won, everybody would go back and party. If India has lost, then everybody would go back to their rooms. Unless you are Bhaji or Yuvraj, you would still go and party. But otherwise, everybody would retire to the room. But there's this one man who, irrespective of, whether India has won or lost, would definitely go back to his room by 9 p.m. latest. And after talking with his wife, son, daughter, he would be, usually in bed about 10:30. Now, before I tell you what happens next, let me also tell you that I'm a firm believer that in this world, there are two types of people. So remember, that story is parked at the point where this man has gone off to sleep, the Indian cricketer who's gone off to sleep. Before he wakes up, I'm telling you another story, that I believe that there are two kinds of people on this planet. One is the kind of person who sets the alarm clock for 5 o'clock in the morning. Alarm is artificial intelligence. It will ring at 5 o'clock. It will not find excuses. Emotional intelligence finds excuses. Artificial intelligence, no excuses. It will ring at 5 a.m. What an average human being like me would do is snooze it. 5:10 snooze. 5:20 snooze. 5:30 snooze. 5:40 snooze, 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 snooze. Finally, at about 6 a.m., when you know that ab is phone ka battery khatam ho jayega, I might as well wake up. When you're sitting in bed, and if the first thought that races through your mind is, late jaun, ya late jaun. Late jaun, ya late jaun. If that's the first thought that occurs to you, then chances are that you're an average human being. But then this other variety is the variety of this Indian cricketer who retires to his room by 9 p.m. in the hotel, and next morning when his alarm rings at 5 a.m., latest by 5:30 a.m., he's at the nets and practicing. It could be snowfall outside. It could be raining outside. He could be badly injured. And back then he was badly injured all the time. Come what may, he would be at the nets and practicing. He could have scored a double century. Does not matter. 5.5 अगर बच गए हैं तो वो nets पे हैं और वो practice कर रहे हैं. And this man is Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. SRT, back then I thought, what a passionate human being. What a passionate human being. that देखो cricket इस हद तक passion है उनके लिए और religion है उनके लिए that he would never miss a practice. Many years later, when I heard more stories about him, and when I finally myself, along with passion, started looking for one more thing which could keep me going, I realized that one more thing that is the difference between somebody who's passionate but could still be average and somebody who's super successful and is definitely not average is a word called discipline. You know, if you ask me amongst the top 10 traits of anybody who's been super successful, amongst the top 3 of those traits, discipline will be one common denominator between all of them, you know. And I really think that for me, a lot has changed ever since I've mixed passion with discipline. Because I'm very sure that when Sachin wakes up in the morning, after all of those injuries and after a very tiresome day of being on the field, when the alarm rings, I'm sure he's not sitting up in bed and saying, late jaun ya late jaun. Chances are he's saying, bring on the day. And not just because of passion, but because his body by now, because of discipline, is wired to just get out of bed by 5 a.m. So that behavioral change often is with discipline. So I think along with passion, everybody out there, especially if you're on your own, what happens is as an individual contributor, as a freelancer, आपको लगता है आज थोड़ा सा देर से भी कर लिया तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? You know, आज एक और क्लाइंट को कॉल नहीं किया तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? कल कर लेंगे. आज फारूक को लिंक्डइन पे नहीं ऐड किया तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? कल कर लेंगे. बिकॉज आपको कोई याद दिलाने वाला नहीं है, आपके ऊपर प्रेशर डालने वाला कोई नहीं है. And that's where discipline becomes most important. So yeah, that's my thought.
So the point is clear to all the listeners out there that you have to kick yourself to get out of your bed and get going.
Absolutely.
And I used to do that for almost, in fact, till now. And when I was having classes, I recently retired from active classes, but till the time I was taking classes used to start at 6:30 or 7 in the morning and went up to 9 in the evening. So I went to bed around 12 o'clock, still get up at 5 and go to the class.
Right.
So, and did it for almost 17, 18 years on the trot without a single day's break. So, of course, discipline is one of the key elements of success and to become a leader. Because as a leader, if you are late to office, then all your people out there will follow you.
Absolutely.
The leader is one whom people follows. Leader is not by position. Leader is one who is followed by his tribe. So to become leader, you have to be up there before anyone else comes out there.
True.
So good and so true, Viraj. And another thing you pointed out was observation skill. As you said that you are observing all the cricketers out there. So you being a leader, that's a very important trait that you have just said, and people should focus on that. And there's observation skills. Because being a leader is not just about sitting in a big plush office and in a skyscraper out there. It is also about going to a river and just sitting there calmly and observing the water to flow and observing the birds and observing the trees and observing everything, because ultimately nature is the biggest thing.
Right.
So you may build beautiful products and you are thinking of growth,
right,
but nature tells you sustainability.
Yes.
So that is another very, very key aspect of leadership today. Sustainable development is there, and you have to develop that skill as well. So moving on, what is the one most crucial skill that you find today in the leaders of the present world and the leaders that are going to come in the future?
Very, very, very good question, Farooq. And I think it's a very good time for you to have asked that question because it links very nicely with what you were just talking about, that, you know, the power of observation and how leadership can often mean your ability to be more absorbent and absorb everything that's happening around you. And in the world of management, and if you don't mind, I'm going to share a few slides with you at this point. Is that okay with the audience?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, we've spoken about a lot of things, so I'm not going to go through every slide there. But is my presentation visible?
Yeah.
So I keep saying that, you know, there's new skills for a new world, if that's what we're talking about. And within those new skills for a new world, what is most pertinent? I think somewhere my worked with so many different corporates in ever since the lockdown has happened. All these companies that are mentioned here right now are companies that we have been doing training for, their leaders we've been working with, their HR teams we've been working with ever since March 2020. So my work with them, plus everything that we have been noticing that has been happening in the world of training and skilling across the internet, what the MOOCs, the massive open online platforms have to offer, everything that's happening there, basis that we've come up with a list of these 20 skills, which I think anybody who is a new age leader or aspires to be a new age leader should possess. These are a set of skills that all of us must possess. In the interest of time, I'll not go through all of them right now. But since you asked which skill do I think or which trait of behavior I think is pertinent today, I think the big one today when it comes to the 2020s or when it comes to new age leadership somewhere, is our ability to be emotionally intelligent. I keep saying that in this world of AI, EI is what makes the big difference.
So
आज
true.
जब सारा काम machines कर रही हैं, तो human being के पास क्या एक ऐसा differentiator है? So I think the key differentiator that we have today is EI. I can go today to a tax filing platform and literally get everything there, and I can file my taxes on my own. I can practically get every advice that a waking, living CA can give me online today. But I think where the difference comes in is when I find that CA or that tax consultant who understands मेरा stress आज क्या है और जो मुझे बोले आप चिंता मत करो मैं हूं ना. And that's emotional intelligence, to understand that the client is not just looking for a solution. The client is looking for a partner. The client is looking for somebody he or she can trust, and that then is the big differentiator. So I think emotional intelligence for me is a big one. And वो आप power of observation की बात कर रहे थे. I think I'm just going to add another word to it, which is a higher degree of consciousness. How consciously aware are you of your own strengths and weaknesses? How consciously aware are you of what people think of you? How consciously aware are you of how the world is changing? How consciously aware are you of what your company's culture is and what you want it to become? So that conscious awareness about these four dimensions, your own self, people, your business, and your market, I think that is emotional intelligence. And in the 2020s, that's going to be one big differentiator, one very big differentiator. People keep talking these days about personal branding.
Yeah.
Personal branding एक बहुत अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा टॉपिक बन गया है. So I say personal branding अगर आप देखें तो is the biggest example of emotional intelligence. Because personal brand, and I have a model around personal branding which is called I brand. So अगर आप देखें आप अपने बारे में क्या सोचते हैं उससे कुछ ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता. दुनिया आपके बारे में क्या सोचती है और उसके बारे में आपको कितना पता है, ये दोनों चीजें जब मिलती हैं तो आपका बनता है. So your awareness of your own self, your awareness of what the world thinks of you, when they come together, जो बीच में बनता है वो personal brand है, वो आपका brand है. और ये फिर इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस है कि आप इसको कितनी अच्छी तरीके से समझते हैं कि आपकी क्या खूबियां हैं, आपकी क्या खामियां हैं और दुनिया के हिसाब से आपकी क्या खूबी और खामियां हैं. And that's when you start concentrating on becoming a personal brand. And in this context, Farooq, I have this model to become a better personal brand or to utilize your emotional intelligence to create this big first impression in the world.
Yeah.
ये मैं सिर्फ इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि 2020s में और ये जो लॉकडाउन हुआ और ये जो पैंडेमिक आया, इसमें एक चीज बहुत क्लियर हो गई कि जो हमें लगता था कि शायद जरूरत पड़ेगी, उस चीज की जरूरत इस हद तक पड़ी कि वो अब न्यू नॉर्मल बन गया. पहले वो था कि हाँ कभी कभी चाहिए होगा, पर अब कुछ ऐसी चीजें हुई जिसकी वजह से वो न्यू नॉर्मल बन गया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल दिस वे ऑफ इंटरेक्शन. अगर मैं आपसे फरवरी 2020 में भी पूछता कि फारूक बात करते हैं तो वो बात हम फोन पे करते हैं, हम वो बात वीडियो कॉल पे नहीं करते. अब बात करने का मतलब ये है कि पहला सवाल आप ये पूछते हो कि वीडियो कॉल या रेगुलर कॉल. तो कुछ ऐसे लोग जिनके साथ हम पहले वीडियो कॉल नहीं करते थे, मीटिंग फेस टू फेस नहीं करते थे, उनके साथ सिर्फ फोन पे ही बात करते थे, अब इनवेरिएबली वो फोन कॉल वीडियो कॉल बन गई है. And video, if that's the only way you are keeping in touch with the world, then your first impression to the world is how you show up in this video.
Exactly.
And I don't know how many people are aware that video के भी कुछ rules हैं, कुछ etiquettes हैं, कुछ हाव भाव हैं, जो हम सबको पता होने चाहिए. इनमें से कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं जो आप फेस टू फेस किसी से भी मिले वो तब भी काम आती थी, पर वीडियो पे और ज्यादा काम आती हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आप कुछ टाइम पहले मेरे इंट्रोडक्शन में बोल रहे थे अबाउट एग्जीक्यूटिव प्रेजेंस. So a lot of the corporate leaders that I work with, I train them on how they come across to another human being when that human being does not know their designation. अगर किसी को आपका ओहदा नहीं पता, आपका पोजीशन नहीं पता, वो नहीं पता होने के बावजूद कि आप एक ऐसा फर्स्ट इंप्रेशन उनके दिमाग में बनाते हैं कि उनको लगता है हाँ यार ये इंसान लीडरशिप मटेरियल है, ये इंसान एक ऐसा इंसान है जो लगता है कि लीडर होगा. अगर आप वो कर पाते हैं तो that's called executive presence, or it's called leadership presence.
Exactly. I just want to add one thing here, that's what we call as subconscious communication
As well.
So whatever you say goes to the ears of the person, but what you don't say, what you project, goes straight to the subconscious mind, and that has a very lasting effect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So well put. And उनके दिमाग में वो सबकॉन्शियसली पहुंच रहा है, पर अगर आप भी उसे सबकॉन्शियसली ही कर रहे हैं तो आप एक बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी मिस आउट कर रहे हैं.
Exactly.
You know, so your degree of consciousness, and that's where emotional intelligence comes in, your degree of consciousness to know what you can project to people that will create a good first impression is, I think, what is at the heart of law. For example, अगर आप देखें ये looks, actions, words and एक window जो add हो गया है, these four things come together and make up for a great first impression. तो इनको मैं law of first impression बोलता हूँ. And within this, if you look at it, अब ये जो इंसान है, ये जब पहली बार दुनिया में गए तो ये तब भी उतने ही कमाल के थे जितने की जब इन्होंने ये किया, राइट? पर जब ये सिर्फ ये थे, पहली बार जब दुनिया ने इनको देखा, इनका स्टॉक प्राइस गिरा, पर जब ये बने तो इनका स्टॉक प्राइस चढ़ा. तो looks and appearances, that's your first impression. Often a time we don't realize, हमें लगता है हमारी डिग्री है, हमारा सर्टिफिकेट है, हमारा कोर्स स्किल है, मेरा कोर्स स्किल नंबर है, वो अपने आप में बात करेगा. But what we don't realize is a lot of people perceive whether you can be trusted or not, whether you can be respected or not, whether you're credible or not, basis how you're packaged. आज फारूक और मैं जो बातें कर रहे हैं, ये हम एक टी शर्ट जिसपे एक बहुत बड़ा इंसिग्निया बना हो जिसपे लिखा हो यो, उसके साथ भी कर सकते थे. पर चांसेस आर के जो हमारे ऑडियंसेस हैं उनके दिमाग में हमारी क्रेडिबिलिटी थोड़ी सी हायर होती है और उनको लगता है कि हाँ ये इंसान कुछ शायद लगता है कि मैच्योरिटी है, कुछ ढंग की बात करेगा. ऑल्सो बिकॉज ऑफ द वे वी आर पैकेज्ड. तो पैकेजिंग मेक्स अ डिफरेंस. एंड सिमिलरली आई कीप सेइंग दैट your body language, which is actions, make a difference. आप स्माइल कर रहे हैं कि नहीं, आप आई कांटेक्ट बना रहे हैं कि नहीं, आपके शब्द. एक हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं जो बोलते तो थे पर उनकी बात का ज्यादा वजूद नहीं होता था जबकि उनकी डिग्रीज पूरी थी. एक अब हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं जो जब बोलते हैं तो उनकी बात का वजूद है, उनका डिग्रीज नहीं है. तो इट्स नॉट व्हाट यू से, इट्स हाउ यू से इट. People believe you more when there's emotion in your voice. We can do it versus we can do it. You know. तो आप कैसे बोलते हैं उससे फर्क पड़ता है. जो एक जो लेटेस्ट चीज फारूक जो ऐड हुई है in this lockdown time is the window.
Okay.
Because अभी तक जब आप किसी इंसान से फेस टू फेस मिलते थे तो looks, action and words तो तब भी काम आता था. पर अब जब हम लोगों से इस खिड़की के थ्रू मिलते हैं, right now you can see me in this window, ये भी is part of my personality now. Whether you can see my face properly, whether the lighting is proper, is part of my personality now. So this is part of my first impression. So window is the latest addition to this first impression. And फारूक, एक जल्दी से if you don't mind हमारे जो audiences हैं to to kind of let them test their own ability to understand कि विंडो किस तरीके से फ्रेम होती है. एक छोटी सी इनके साथ गेम खेल लें.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
हाँ, alright.
आई एम इन.
Alright, super. तो इसका चैट पे आपको थोड़ा ध्यान देना पड़ेगा क्योंकि इसके आंसर्स our audiences will give on chat. And what will happen is we're going to play a game which is called point the odd one out. Point the odd one out. Example, पहला सवाल जो है फॉर एग्जाम्पल है, पर आप उसको टेस्ट कीजिएगा ऑन चैट. आपके स्क्रीन पे 4 ऑप्शंस आएंगे. आपको बताना ये है कि इन 4 ऑप्शन में से कौन सा एक ऑप्शन है जो ऑड वन आउट है, जो बाकी 3 के साथ फिट इन नहीं होता. Alright? So on chat, you only have to write the alphabet for that option. So for example, in this slide, what is this one option that does not fit with the others? Farooq, will I be able to see it also on the Zoom chat? कि लोग क्या submit कर रहे हैं?
Yeah, you should.
And
you can open the chat.
All right, I can see Devashish has written option C.
Yeah.
And I can see a lot of C's coming in now. C,
Yeah,
C,
yeah.
C, C, C. Yeah, there's a lot of C.
Someone has written B.
Someone has written B as well. Yes, but majority have written C. And if I was to ask some of them, because Devashish was the first one to answer. Devashish, if I was to ask you why C, what would your answer be? If you can quickly on chat write in 1 or 2 words, why C? By the way, C is the right answer, so don't hesitate. You can go on and tell us why C. All right. While Devashish might still be thinking about it, in the interest of time, C because C.
So on YouTube, on our YouTube channel also, almost 90% are writing C.
Yeah.
1 or 2 have written D or B.
Sure.
I think they're joking.
Come again, Farooq.
Sorry?
What was the last line you said? I missed that.
Somebody has written A or B, so I think they're joking. They're playing the game. Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah. But yes, C is the correct answer. So why C? Because of course C is the only animal here which is not from the feline family, from the cat family. Of course, wolves are from the canine family or from the dog family, while all of the other 3 are from the feline family. Similarly, अगले 3 जो ऐसे slides आएंगे, अब ये game है. This is game on. The first person to answer correctly the options. So somebody who gets 3 on 3 and is amongst the first 10 answers that we get. So I'll ask, the Taxology team to keep a lookout on chat कि पहले 10 जवाब में से अगर आपका जवाब है और आप 3 on 3 सही आंसर करते हैं, तो we will give you something called the video presence handbook, जिसमें कि 50 ऐसे suggestions हैं जिनको अगर आप अप्लाई करें तो आपका ओवरऑल वीडियो प्रेजेंस इंप्रूव होगा. So these are ready to deploy 50 tips on video presence, which if you utilize, your video presence will automatically climb at least 4 times. All right. तो अगर आपको ये चाहिए तो आप अगले 3 सवालों का जवाब जितने जल्दी दे सकते हैं दें. And all of these 3 tips are to do with your video presence. कि आप ये जो विंडो है, लॉ का जो विंडो है, उसको फ्रेम किस तरीके से करते हैं.
Right, come on. Place your fingers on the phone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fastest finger first.
Fastest finger first.
All right. So here we go. Sorry about that. तो ये तो था हमारा सैंपल क्वेश्चन जिसका जिन्होंने सी जवाब वो सही जवाब था. ये आया हमारा असली में क्वेश्चन नंबर 1. All right. I can again see a lot of takers for C. A lot of takers for C. And we will close the poll in a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's close it. So अब जो भी आंसर आया वो काउंट नहीं करेगा. But I see a lot of people saying C. Yeah.
And again, Debashish is the first one again.
Looks like, absolutely. Devashish definitely looks like he's most awake.
Yeah.
Good going, Devashish. And I don't know how it is looking on YouTube, but looks like at least on Zoom chat, practically everybody has gone with C.
Yeah, yeah. Even on YouTube, everyone is writing C.
All right.
Almost.
Good to know. Good to know. And everybody who's
Somebody has
written C.
written A.
Hmm.
One of them has written A, so probably he's looking gender-wise, I think. But he's a boy, so.
हो सकता है.
Yeah.
For everybody who voted for a C, a big round of applause for you. C is the answer that we were looking for. C is the odd one out. And I'm guessing majority of you know that C is the odd one out because the lighting is poor. In all three other cases, the lighting is proper. So here's a reminder कि आप जहां तक possible हो, front से lighting करें ताकि आप visible हो, आप bright लगें, अगले इंसान को वीडियो कॉल पे आपकी शक्ल नजर आए क्योंकि वीडियो कॉल है, ऑडियो कॉल नहीं है. लाइटिंग जहां पीछे से आएगी, सी की तरह आप शैडो की तरह नजर आएंगे, आप सिलुएट की तरह नजर आएंगे, एंड यू डोंट वांट दैट, राइट? ओके.
Unless you are crying and you don't want your boyfriend to see.
या आपने अभी मेकअप नहीं लगाया है जल्दी जल्दी में.
Yeah.
Good one, Farooq. All right, here comes question number 2. Fingers on the buzzer, and here we go. I see a lot of takers for A.
Yes.
I also see some takers for C. A.
It's a mixed reaction.
Yeah. ये थोड़ा tricky है compared to the first question, and इसलिए mixed reactions हैं. So we are going to close this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and close. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इसमें किसी को सही आंसर नहीं मिला, because I see a lot of A's and C's.
Yeah. Most A's and C's.
Farooq, do you see any D's?
One of them is there.
Yeah, on Zoom. Is that the case even on YouTube or other places?
Yeah. Some people have given D.
Folks, for this one, D is the correct answer. पिछले वाले ऑप्शन में we were looking at an odd one out जो गलत था, तो शायद आपने उसी दिमाग के साथ इसमें इसमें odd one out is the only one जो सही है.
Exactly.
A, B and C की प्रॉब्लम ये है that उन्होंने वो नहीं किया जो D ने किया, और D ने क्या किया, अपनी फ्रेमिंग सही करी.
Exactly.
आपकी जो विंडो है उसमें अगर आप यहाँ पे बात कर रहे हैं, आपकी शक्ल पूरी नहीं आ रही, या आप ज्यादा नीचे हैं, या आप ज्यादा साइड पे हैं, तो that's not a correct framing. A good frame for a window on a video call is where you are center aligned and you're middle aligned, right in the middle. Yeah. Also, good frame is slightly chest up with your shoulders visible. तो आप अगर देखें तो D की framing ऐसी है जहाँ पे उनकी शक्ल पूरी नजर आ रही है, ना ज्यादा पास है ना ज्यादा दूर है. Also, जहाँ पे की आई कांटेक्ट आप स्क्रीन के साथ ऑलमोस्ट 0 डिग्री एंगल पे बना पाते हैं, राइट? यहाँ से या यहाँ से नहीं, राइट? 0 डिग्री एंगल with the window. So that's
so your camera should be in the eye level, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
एक ट्रिक और है मेरे जैसे लोगों के लिए.
So I want to just interrupt you here. That a lot of people are these days fond of clicking selfies. So they look like this. So that will not do in video call, right?
So Farooq, very good point, and that's what I was just going to add. That एक ट्रिक है. ट्रिक ये है कि अगर आपने 0 डिग्री एंगल पे नहीं करना, और आपका अगर मेरी तरह थोड़ा सा वेट इशू है, फारूक का तो नहीं है, मेरा है. I'm very conscious about my weight all the time, right? So the moment you place the camera a little above, you look slimmer. The moment you place the camera a little below, you look bigger. Especially the face, इस एंगल से आपका डबल चिन नजर आता है. ये 0 डिग्री एंगल जो है ये सबसे अच्छा है. बट जहां फोन थोड़ा सा ऊपर गया, you come across looking slimmer. So wherever you can, get a tripod stand which gets your phone to go at this angle from a little above. That also is a good frame. All right. So this is for everybody who wants to shave off 5, 7, 8 kgs when they're on screen. You can do that by doing so.
That's a great hack you have given.
And this is the last question, everybody. Fingers on the buzzer. And here we go. Right, I can see answers coming in now. See D, C, B, 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 B. Right, definitely looks like B's are in the advance here right now. See another B. What is it looking like on YouTube? Do we see
Mostly D.
Mostly B's, mostly B's. I see some A's and D's coming in as well. But in 5, we are going to close now. 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's close this poll. All right. And the correct answer, which is what majority of you voted for, we'll have to see who got it first. Yes, but the correct answer is B. Yeah. And B, like most of you have noticed, and that's why you've answered it correctly, is the correct answer because of their background. अगर आप अभी देखें तो फारूक का जो बैकग्राउंड है और जो मेरा बैकग्राउंड है वो अनक्लटर्ड है, वो यूजुअली लाइटर है फ्रॉम द फोरग्राउंड, राइट? बोथ ऑफ अस हैव एन अनक्लटर्ड बैकग्राउंड. सिमेट्री है बैकग्राउंड में. बैकग्राउंड में अगर बहुत कुछ चल रहा है और बहुत घिचपिच है और unnecessary चीजें हैं जो नहीं होनी चाहिए, that's not a good background for a video call. For your video call, choose a background which either shows your personality, shows the ambience of the kind of work you do, or is absolutely neutral. And that's what B has done, chosen a background which is uncluttered and absolutely neutral. So these were just 3 out of some 50 tips which are there in this video presence handbook, which will go to people who are amongst the top 10 and have given the correct answer. And Farooq, ये एक plugin है जो मैं कर रहा हूँ जल्दी से. And the plugin is, here's a giveaway alert for people who did not win the handbook. For the ones who won it, congratulations. For the ones who did not win the handbook, if you were to, in the next 5 minutes, and I'm going to check after this session, if you were to go on and add me on Instagram, let's also see initiative. If you were to, in the next 5 minutes, go and add me on Instagram, and as step 2, मेरे direct messages में अगर आप छोड़ते हैं Taxology, since that's the platform we are on, then also I will send you the handbook. But उसके लिए आपको मुझे add करना पड़ेगा Instagram पे, and you will have to send me a direct message with Taxology written in that message. And that's when you can again win this video presence handbook. Having done that, Farooq, so yes, I think emotional intelligence, and within emotional intelligence, video presence as one example is something that all of us, irrespective of whatever profession we are in, most need today.
Yeah, you're so right there, Viraj. And even when you talk about leadership, so it is not about just building strengths. It is also about having empathy for the weakest links in your team.
So true.
Yeah, so that also is very important today, because everyone is going through the tough times. So if you want to build a tribe, if you want to lead them together and hold them together, then you have to empathize with their needs.
Absolutely.
And presently in these situations, everyone is going through tough times, a lot of medical emergencies and all.
Absolutely.
So if you can build that empathy in you, then you can build a very strong team.
Absolutely.
Like I was thinking in the morning, and I got an analogy here, that if you see the biggest of trees, the strongest ones that you have been seeing since your childhood, the big ones, so the trunk of the tree is very huge and strong, but there are leaves which are very, very thin and very, very delicate. And the most important thing, even though they're delicate, one leadership skill that they have is flexibility. Unless they are flexible, they will not withstand the weather. They will not be able to weather the storms.
So
So
true.
being flexible is also very important leadership skill. And for the trunk of the tree, it's very important to handle those leaves, even though they are very delicate, but still you have to hold them together. And
So
unless
true.
you do so, you'll not have a big tree.
Absolutely.
So those are very important skills.
Very important. Very, very good point.
Yeah. So Viraj, tell me that you take this coaching. So who should attend your training programs and why?
Yeah, good point. So actually, there are two kinds of services that we provide at Open Brackets, and even I provide as an individual trainer slash coach. One is that we do a lot of one-on-one coaching. So which means that these are very customized, interventions that are happening for you as an individual. So you would generally come up to me and say that, I want to grow my team now from one person to 50 people, or from 50, I want to go to 500. I'm looking for funding, but often I'm making my pitch presentation to a potential investor. I'm not being able to do it, but my product is very good. Or that, and this happens very, very often. A lot of aspiring coaches and trainers would write to me on LinkedIn or would write me on Instagram. In recent years, I've been very active on Instagram, and that's the handle I shared even for our audiences today for this giveaway.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the youngsters today are utilizing Instagram also to build their own personal brands. So I come across a lot of budding coaches and trainers who would write to me and say, I've got my International Coaching Federation certificate. And that's a lot of money spent for anybody who wants to be a coach. ICF is a very good program, but also very expensive. So we've got the certificate, but I'm not being able to get any business. And I think that's where a lot of them come to me asking, seeking that as a professional, how do I grow my business? That's one part of it. Second is the training programs that we do for companies where the CEO or the HR head or the leader would come to Open Brackets and would say that we would want one of your trainers to address a training program for our employees.
Yeah.
All formats of soft and behavioral skills:
Yeah.
communication, presentation, leadership, team building, stress management, time management, project management, agility, attitude, people skills. So all formats of soft and behavioral skills, we do training programs for those for our corporate clients. But I think what would be of interest to people here on this call with us, looking at the broad mix of people who are associated with the community called Taxology. I think what we all, as one part of 2020 skills, what we all need to do more of, and which is what I do in a lot of one-on-one coaching, is tell people that if you are struggling for business right now, or if you are wondering that how do you crack it in this bad down market as far as business is concerned, somewhere remember that it has a lot to do with your own ability to form communities and tribes. A lot of people are making teams and companies. Don't make teams and companies. Make tribes and communities. So not a company, but a community. Not a team, but a tribe. And I think the difference there is your ability to form relationships and your ability to offer something to somebody, which the moment they see it, they want to work only with you and not with another human being. you know so how you go about forming that community and that tribe is the big differentiator today, and I think I work with a lot of my clients in being able to do so. uh, why Elon Musk is considered amongst the top 10 most aspiring leaders to aspirational leaders today is because a lot of people believe that what he is doing, he's not doing it to make money. They believe he's doing it to change the way the planet works. That SpaceX is about giving continuity to the human race. That Tesla is about consuming less of the fossil fuels and becoming a more sustainable planet, right? And so a lot of the youngsters aspire to work with Elon Musk, not because of his monetary value, but because of the dent he's trying to make on the way the Earth as a planet functions. So I think your ability to form communities around a vision much larger than personal gain. That's where the big difference is made.
Very, very well said. Very well observed. That's a fantastic point you have made out, Viraj,
Thank
and
you.
that's so true.
Thank you.
So for all the viewers right now, that is, I think, the takeaway of this program. The vision is more important even than your passion.
Oh, yes.
Have a greater vision, and if you can show that vision, you can transfer that vision to your team, then you can certainly build a big tribe out of it, a big community
Absolutely.
who are your hardline supporters, even in the worst of times. Because today, what is happening that even the companies are going through worst of times. So keeping employees, keeping your flock together is also a very big challenge, and
Absolutely.
that can be met by a very good suggestion that you've given. And for all the young aspiring students also, and chartered accountants, and all the young guys who are out there and who are with us today, these are the key elements that you can take away from this. Go home. I mean, you are already at home, but now you sit quietly, recollect all these points, and see yourself, test yourself that where you stand in all of these. And at Taxology also, since we are into freelancing and gig economy, so we have been researching a lot about this, and the world is moving towards gig economy now. So personal branding is one thing which really makes the difference.
Oh,
And
yes.
we are also focusing very highly on building personal brands. So there are a lot of things that we are offering now. Apart from the freelancing platform, we are offering the full stack brand building platform as well.
Nice.
We don't just focus on the digital marketing. A lot of people have misunderstood branding. They think
Right.
that this is about all digital marketing, so making a post and circulating it, or a funny video or something. It's not just that. So it's about the communication of your vision, communication of what you want to achieve, what you want to do, and how do you see the future coming. that
Right.
that's that's the thing that really people like, that thing. And even Google is saying that knowledge, the content, is the most important thing right now.
So true.
So people follow content. People are following good content, good knowledge base.
Yes.
So if you guys out there, the viewers, have that knowledge base, and as we started with, Viraj said the first thing, that you have to identify your own strengths, where you stand, what do you have that you can give to people,
Yes.
and then what people are asking of you, how they perceive what you are giving. Understanding both these things is very important. Striking a balance, where then the passion comes in and it takes you further.
So true.
So step one is identify your own strengths, own skills, the inbuilt skill. And all of us have some kind of a skill. When I passed my chartered accountancy, I got a lot of options open to me. But in the last 6 months of my study time, when I was teaching to my co-students, because I was very, afraid of exams, number one. Number two, a lazy guy. I didn't like studying. So the only way I thought I could study is if I have to explain this thing to a few guys out there.
Right.
So if I have to explain, I'll definitely study. So I asked them, there was a group. I told them that, look, I'll teach you one lesson a day. So now there was a deadline that I had to prepare that lesson to teach them. So
Very
even
nice.
though they were with me, my co-students, so that started a group discussion forum we started. And that made me realize this passion for communication, passion for ideas, passion for, teaching people.
Nice.
Subject is immaterial. It's the passion for
So true.
conveying, passion for telling ideas and innovating and inspiring people.
So
So
true.
when I passed my C exams, I thought that the first thing I'll try is teaching. If it doesn't
Right.
succeed, then I look at the other things.
Right.
But it clicked, and 22 years went by like, I don't feel like, I still feel like 20 years of age.
Very nice.
So anyways, the point is that whatever you have told today is amazing. It was so important. And to
Thank you.
all the aspiring people out there who aspire to become big, who want to conquer the next decade, they should focus on these points, realize your potential, realize your skills, build passion around it, and something to deliver which is much bigger than what is expected by your clients and customers.
Absolutely.
If you keep giving them more, they'll be coming back to you again and again and again. And that's how you build a community around you, community of customers, community of clients, community of workers, and all types of community.
Absolutely.
So it was wonderful, Viraj, talking to you today. And
Pleasure's all mine.
all the people out there, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was a wonderful conversation, and I myself gained a lot of insights, and obviously all the viewers might have gained a lot. So now we'll throw open the platform for Q&A. So
Sure.
all guys who want to ask questions to Viraj or to me, they can post their queries, and
I
we'll
see there is some stuff which is coming on chat already.
yeah. So someone is asking, is management skills equally important compared to leadership skills? So can you throw light on the difference between management and leadership, because most people don't
Sure.
understand the difference?
Sure. To be honest with you, I'm not much for bookish definitions, Farooq.
Yeah,
I'm more of a touch, feel, emotions based person. I mean, probably the reason why I talk about emotional intelligence in the very first place, right? I think the big difference is not between management skills and leadership skills. Big difference is between your attitude as a person. There are a lot of people who behave like managers, and there are a lot of people who are designated managers but behave like leaders. And I think the difference is in the behavior of the person and not the title. Title can be manager or leader, but the difference between management skills and leadership skills, according to me, is that a manager would only do as much has been assigned to them. A leader would do anything and everything they possibly can to ensure that they give 10 times more and get 10 times more than what has been assigned to them. And that's the big difference between management skills and leadership skills. A manager is only managing. A leader has the vision. A leader has the ability to delegate the mundane and get out the big developmental stuff, So yeah, I think that's the big one for me. But if you were to go by a bookish definition of a difference between a management skill and leadership skill, I would say that uh, a manager is somebody who manages resources. Could be human capital, could be financial capital, could be time, could be material. Your ability to manage resources in a manner that you're able to maximize return on investment could mean that you're a good manager, people manager, financial manager, whatever, right? A leader or leadership skills, on the other hand, is to say that when you fall short of resources, but you still need to deliver, you need something more. And that's what a leader brings on board. Leader creates resources and does not just manage them. So I think that's the big difference.
absolutely. And I would like to add something to it in a very small this thing, that a manager can ask you to do things, but a leader will inspire you to do things. So you will do it yourself. So that's is one of the difference.
Very good.
Another question is that what are some important qualities of a good supervisor? So I think you have answered that. So it comes in management.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Another good question is how to convince your team about your ideas as a leader. This is very important. How to convince your team.
Right. I believe that Divya came in last and she took a session on LinkedIn and storytelling on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm going to link that with emotional intelligence. I think the whole idea of storytelling is your ability to influence without exerting power. What you were talking about a while ago, Farooq, that a leader, the big difference between a manager and leader would be manager would tell you to do things. A leader will influence you, will motivate you to do things. And a large part of influencing and motivating people to align with your vision comes from your ability to tell stories, but not any stories, contextual stories. And contextual storytelling only happens when you're very high on emotional intelligence. They say that there are a lot of inventors who could have become Einstein. It's not just that Einstein had a great IQ and so he became a successful scientist.
Yeah.
Einstein also became a successful scientist because he had great EQ. His ability to break down a very complicated concept and explain it to you in the most simple words was actually his one very big strength. So he knew 9 out of 10 people will not understand theory of relativity, will not understand that time is a dimension that dilates, expands, or contracts. He knew most people wouldn't understand it. So he would break it down into a story or an example that the other person is able to understand. And I think that is the very big difference between also a manager and a leader. Why most people struggle with getting people to align with their vision is that they're not able to exemplify that vision, are not able to make the other person visualize what you see. And that usually happens because you don't get to the wavelength of the other person, either down or up, to make them see what you see. So
Exactly.
having a vision is only one part of the story. Your ability to tell that story in a convincing manner so that the other person says, "Ha yaar, yahi hai." That's the big difference. So I think learning the art of contextual storytelling is how you align others to your vision. Part of it is personal branding, part of it is messaging, part of it is personality, part of it is communication, but it's a combination of those things. One is to say, I truly believe in what I do. Another is to say that I'm living it by example. I am living it with passion, and that passion and exemplification is visible to everybody else. More visible you make it, more people are motivated to align with it.
Exactly. So that reminds me of one example that a leader is one, but he may have millions of followers. So it can be thought in a way that you are standing on top of the mountain where only one person can stand. There's no space out there. But the beauty that you can see from there, how you communicate that beauty to your team below, the
Right.
people who are standing below that
Right.
mountain. If you can communicate that, then you are the greatest leader. So
Very true.
communication builds you as a leader,
Very true.
because passion will build you as a person.
Right.
How you communicate will build you as a leader.
That's so true. Farooq, there's another point that I've, and real world example that I want to add here. Steve Jobs got fired from his own company by the person that he had hired, right?
Yeah.
And when he came back to Apple, he came back a changed man. So a lot of the geniuses across the world are introverts. They're not people's person. They're like, I have a passion, I have a vision, and I don't have time. I'm impatient. I want to do so many things, so many big things, because you are a genius. You can see things nobody else can. And that's how Steve Jobs was. He was in a hurry, not hurry to make money, not hurry to make Apple the #1 brand, but in a hurry to see this big vision convert into reality of simplifying the way a laptop looks, simplifying the beauty of what a machine should look like, simplifying the way people can use this machine easily. So he had that vision, but he did not know how to make other people understand that vision. And very often he would be rude, very often he would lose his temper, he would be impatient. And because of all of those things, one day he was asked to leave his own company. But when he came back, is when he came back as the Steve Jobs who took the stage and told stories. Because he understood that अकेले आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, आप कर तो सिर्फ तभी पाओगे जब दूसरे आपके साथ अलाइन होंगे, और दूसरे आपके साथ तभी अलाइन होंगे जब आप ये सोचना भूल जाओगे कि इनको कुछ नहीं आता, जब आप ये सोचोगे इनको जितना भी आता है उसके साथ मैं अपने आप को जोड़ के इनको आगे कैसे लेके जा सकता हूँ. So you have to change your stance, not the world.
Exactly.
If you have to achieve your vision, you have to change your stance.
Absolutely. There are a lot of other queries on YouTube as well, so I'll highlight a few of them.
Please.
How did you help your children to develop leadership skills? That's an interesting question.
Very nice question. So I have a 12-year-old boy at home. His name is Veer. And very often, friends, family, even from his school, I keep hearing that, because you are making him, because he's your son, is why he's so confident, why he's got such a personality. I want to tell all of them, पर भैया मैं स्कूल में ऐसा नहीं था. तो ये सारा क्रेडिट मेरा नहीं है, बहुत सारा क्रेडिट उसी का है. But I think where as parents we are very conscious of what we are giving to our child. I can only talk from personal experience. is that हम ये समझ गए कि ये जो आज का Gen Z generation है, the generation which has come after the millennials, the Gen Z, इनको बहुत सारी थ्योरेटिकल चीजें तो स्कूल इंटरनेट पे मिल जाएगी, इनफैक्ट स्कूल जाने की भी जरूरत नहीं, इंटरनेट पे मिल जाएगी, बट इनको जो आप दे सकते हो, जो इनको इंटरनेट और स्कूल में शायद नहीं मिलेगा, वो है वैल्यूज. तो आई थिंक द स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट लीडर्स, आप उठा के देख लें, कॉर्पोरेट लीडर्स हों, वेदर इट इज द लाइक्स ऑफ बिल गेट्स, स्टीव जॉब्स, आनंद महिंद्रा, रतन टाटा, or if you look at political leaders worth their salt, whether it is Obama, whether it is Nelson Mandela, whether it is Gandhi, what all of them have in common is a very strong set of values and principles that you live by, and those are unwavering. उनको आप compromise नहीं करते. So I think one of the best ways of not ensuring, but at least ensuring your best to make your child into a leader is to focus on giving them values. उनको शिवाजी की कहानियां सुनाएं, उनको अमर चंद्र कथा दिखाएं, उनको autobiographies of some of the biggest leaders बताएं, उनको आपकी जो personal values हैं वो उनको समझाएं, सिखाएं नहीं, समझाएं. And I think that's where the big difference is going to be. That don't just teach your child, let your child experience things. And every time they come back and say with curiosity, ye kya hai ya wo kya hai, even if it is embarrassing, have that conversation with them. Don't curb them. In fact, motivate them to ask you more questions. I think जहां पे हम गलत हो जाते हैं वो यहाँ पे हो जाते हैं कि अगर बच्चे में ये डर बैठ गया कि यार ये सवाल नहीं पूछ सकता मैं अपने पेरेंट्स से, तो मुश्किल हो जाती है. If they can come and ask you anything, and if you are in fact making them fearless to ask anything out of anybody, curiosity, that's a big leadership trait. So let them be curious. वो curious already हैं, उनको डांटे या टोके ना कि यार ये सवाल नहीं पूछ सकते, ऐसा कैसा, ये क्या बेवकूफ सवाल है, या ये क्या embarrassing सवाल है. Answer their questions with patience. Let them be curious. Second, don't come in the way of their natural instinct. उनका जो natural instinct है उसको channelize करें, उसको block ना करें. हो सकता है कि वो कहीं ना कहीं channeling चाहिए हो, पर उसको block ना करें. And last but not the least, like I said, bring up a child who's full of values. जो इस दुनिया में कम है आज और हमें और चाहिए, वो है civility, वो है equality, वो है open mindedness, वो humanity, basic human traits, selfishness नहीं, things which are do good, be good, variety of things, वो और सिखाएं अपने बच्चों को. I think उसकी आज बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है.
Absolutely, absolutely. And more importantly, you be what you want your child to be. So that's summarizes it.
Yes.
एक last question हम ले लेते हैं because the time is also a constraint with us today.
Yes.
And of course, all the people who are putting their questions, they can put these questions in the story that I'm going to put on LinkedIn. So we don't have time right now to take all these questions, but if you put your questions there in the story, I'll be just putting the story in 5 minutes after we close the session. So you put all the questions and I myself as well as Viraj will see that we answer those queries there.
Absolutely.
Right. So one last question we'll take. This is important because you talked a lot about this, emotional intelligence. So how to develop it? How to develop your EQ? That's a good question. So if you can answer that.
Nice. I think by realizing that it is already there, you don't need to develop it. Often a time we come in the way of it. Often a time we filter it out. I do a lot of workshops, for example, on intuitiveness. And intuitiveness is one important part of emotional intelligence. All of these are inbuilt into us. In fact, in recent times, there's this book which became very popular by Harari, which is called Sapiens, or Sapien. If you go read this book, it will tell you that I think the biggest differentiator because of which human beings became what they became in comparison to every other animal on the planet is because of our ability to be intuitive, because of our ability to be emotional, because of our ability to tell stories. They say that chances are human beings are the only species on the planet who can do a combination of two things because of which we become the civilization we become. One, power of imagination.
Absolutely.
There are probably other animals who still have this first quality, power of imagination. Even my dog sees dreams. वो कभी कभी रात को सोते हुए रोता है, कुछ सपनाता हो. So power of imagination शायद कुछ और animals में भी होती है. But the second quality, power of talking about things or communicating things which are not real, which have never happened, that chance only human beings have. Even a group of monkeys sitting on trees will chatter amongst themselves and let the other monkey know, भाई उस रास्ते मत जाना, मैं उस रास्ते कल गया था, वहां पे शेर है. That communication animals have. But ऐसा कोई बंदर नहीं है जो कि दूसरे बंदर को बोलता है, देख देख अभी मैं इसका काटूं, ह्यूमर, उधर मत जाना क्योंकि वहां पे शेर है. पर ऐसा है नहीं. वो झूठ नहीं बोल सकते, वो इमेजिनेशन यूज करके कम्युनिकेशन नहीं कर सकते. Human beings are probably the only animals who have imagination and communication put together. And that is the starting point of emotional intelligence. Emotion is not logic. Emotion is not 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Only a human being can believe and can make you believe that 1 plus 1 can also be 11. हम कर सकते हैं, आप कोशिश तो करो. That power of emotion is what has made us what we are. तो emotion इंटेलिजेंस ऐसी चीज है, इमोशन ऐसी चीज नहीं है जो हमारे को डेवलप करनी पड़ती है. आई थिंक वो एक ऐसी चीज है जिसको हमको अपने आप में ढूंढ के उसको बाहर निकालना होता है. वो अंदर है. हमने उसको आईक्यू की वजह से, हमने उसको जो स्कूल में पढ़ाई की उसकी वजह से, हमने उसको सर्वाइवल इंस्टिंक्ट की वजह से कर्व करा होता है. ये जो थ्राइव और सर्वाइव के बीच में डिफरेंस है वो है ये. सर्वाइव आपको बोलेगा कि यार हर्ड मेंटालिटी, ये 4 प्रोफेशन है जिसमें 4 करोड़ लोगों ने सक्सेस पाया है, यही प्रोफेशन कर ले. थ्राइव होता है जो आप कहें कि भाई हो सकता है कि जो मैं करना चाहता हूं, स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी, पोएट्री, पेंटिंग, वो ही करूं. सो लेटिंग योरसेल्फ फॉलो व्हाट यू ऑलरेडी हैव इज इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस और इमोशनल क्वोशंट. तो डोंट कम इन द वे ऑफ व्हाट यू ऑलरेडी हैव. इनफैक्ट वो जो पहला थॉट, वो जो पहला इंस्टिंक्ट है, उसको फॉलो करें, उसको थोड़ा सा और होन करें. That's where your EQ or EI is. One last thing I'll add to that.
Yeah.
Rational decision could mean survival. It could mean कि यार पहले अपना देख लो, वो rational है. Emotional decision is to know कि भाई survive तो सभी करते हैं, मैं तो thrive करना चाहता हूं. तो वो जो out of the box idea है, वो जो इंस्टिंक्ट है जो आपको बोलता है कि नहीं यार सिर्फ अपने लिए नहीं दूसरों के लिए भी करो, उनको कर्व ना करें. डोंट जस्ट बिकम अ सर्वाइवर. दैट इज रैशनल. इमोशनल टू सर्वाइव तो सभी जाते हैं, थ्राइव करके तो देख. तो उसको पॉलिश करें, उसको होन करें, उस इंस्टिंक्ट को.
वेरी वेरी वेल सेड विराज. और उसमें मैं एक चीज ऐड करूंगा कि दैट इज द लीप ऑफ फेथ वेयर पीपल डोंट बिलीव, यू शुड बिलीव इन देमसेल्फ. And one more thing that अंदर की आवाज और बाहर की आवाज दो चीजें हैं. So 99% of the time हम बाहर की जो आवाज है उसको सुनते हैं. People's comment about you that you can do this and you cannot do this. कभी कभी अंदर की आवाज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती है. So that is intuition, जो अंदर की आवाज है. और उस पर ध्यान देना बहुत जरूरी है. Because unless you listen to yourself, spend more time with yourself, observe yourself, do meditation and hone your senses. Basically, we have 5 senses which tells us everything that we know. There is no other way of inputting any data into our minds. It is only the 5 senses that we have. So you have to concentrate on these senses. Like I always tell my students, I used to tell that when you eat chocolate, how do you eat chocolate? So they say, okay, we eat chocolate and therefore we have to go to dentist. मैंने तो बहुत चॉकलेट खाया, मैं कभी आज तक डेंटिस्ट के पास नहीं गया. तो उन्होंने पूछा भाई कैसे? मैं कहा तो आप चॉकलेट दांतों से खाते हो इसलिए दांत खराब होते हैं. मैं तो दांत लगाता ही नहीं. I just keep the chocolate on my tongue and let it melt slowly and have the taste. So if you want to taste chocolate, you cannot put your teeth on the chocolate. So nice. that is the, you have to hone your senses. If you hone your senses, if you have good command over your senses, then your intuition becomes much stronger.
Right.
Your intuition becomes stronger, you know yourself, what I can do, what are my abilities, and then you can tell others that, look, I'm able to do this. I will be doing this. As Viraj said about Steve Jobs, he had a lot of vision. Like Elon Musk, he has a lot of things which others won't believe. Hyperloop, nobody would believe that something like this can come, but he's making it now. So a visionary is a person who can think beyond his times, much beyond his times. And that's what I think all can do. And as Viraj said, कि हम सब कर सकते हैं, हमारे सब के अंदर वो ability है.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, we'll want to conclude this session. But before concluding, I will again say कि जितने भी लोग हमारे साथ आज है और देख रहे हैं, you should join our community, our tribe. It will become a big tribe one day. And join us on Facebook, on Twitter, on all the social medias that we have. And we'll be bringing such good, beautiful sessions for you every other week. So thanks, Viraj, for today.
Thanks to you.
You have taken so much time out of your busy schedule.
Not at all.
He's a very busy man. I would tell all of you guys.
Not at all. Not at all.
We call him every day. He's always busy.
No,
so
no. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to have spoken with you. I've had a very good time. I didn't even realize कि हम 1.5 घंटे से एक साथ हैं. It's been a pleasure interacting with you. I have learned some new things as well from you today, Farooq. So I'm actually glad that we did this session. It's been a pleasure interacting with you.
Thank you so much, sir. And have a good day, everyone. And tomorrow is Sunday, so you take time out to relax, think over all these points that you have got today. And obviously, you will become a very good person in time to come. So wish you all success. And thanks for joining today. Thanks, Viraj.
Thanks to you. Bye-bye, everyone. Keep in touch.
Bye, everyone.